Welcome to the Grumpy Plumber. I'm Jordan. This is Jim, the Grumpy Plumber. My dad, Jim, is going to talk about the 7 steps to work with a service company or plumber when you bring them over to your house to save you time and money. Start off with step number 1.
First thing I recommend is that you hire a company that is a service plumbing company. You know, not one that flat rates you or anything like that, but just a guy that does service work. You don't need a drain cleaner to show up and say he can fix it, okay? No. You want a guy that specializes in service work. And a lot of plumbers today do not want to do service. I'll tell you that right up front. But when you get one, they're usually good at it.
Now, what do you mean by service work? What's some examples?
He's a plumber that, like me, I did houses, I did everything. And then my later time in life, which I know you think I'm quite young, but I did strictly service work. I specialized in service.
So what's an example of service work?
I fixed faucets, I fixed toilets, I'd fix leaky drain pipes, I would fix, replace water heaters and things. But I just didn't get into doing new construction like plumbing the piping in houses anymore.
So this is something in your house that is broken, a plumbing item that's broken, you'd call a service plumber, like your dad became.
And the next thing you do is when you call a service company, you tell them the problem briefly.
This is step 2.
Step 2. I got a faucet that's dripping. Don't say you got a leak unless you have a broken pipe and water's running all over the place. That's a leak. And another thing to keep in mind, there's no emergencies anymore in plumbing. You know, you can go outside and you can turn the water off. You can go down in the basement, you can turn the water off. Once the water's off, the leak stops. So the drip stops, everything stops. So that's the first thing you want to do if it's major, is turn that water off in your house. Then
So this step 2 is really be short and descriptive when you call the service company, right? You're gonna probably get their admin or somebody like that on the phone. Maybe you'll get the plumber directly on the phone. But think about it ahead of time before you pick up the phone is a short, easy way to describe what the problem is. So a big thing when you have the description is the difference between a leak and a drip. So what's the difference between a leak and a drip?
A drip is just like a drippy faucet. Drip, drip, drip. A leak is major water spraying out, or
like pretty much like
a hole in the pipe in a water pipe. That's a leak. Even a drain line. Sometimes if a drain line is leaking, like your bathtub drain, once you stop running water in it, the drip stops or the leak stops. Okay, that's good. Okay, so then you can wait. Don't use it until the guy shows up to fix it. But if you have a hole in a pipe, that's when you go and turn the water off because it's spraying all over and causing some damage on it. You look at, if there's a pipe leaking inside of a wall, you notice that because the drywall is going to get softened. You're going to see black spots on the floor, stuff like that. Now, that could even be a drain line. Just quit using it. If it's not water will show up more water on the floor. Will pour out of the floor when you got a major leak of water.
Okay, step 3 is share information with the service company. Jim's going to give examples of information to share with them.
Best thing you can do is send them a picture of the faucet. Either back it up a little bit or close up, not real close because they got to be able to look at it. See if you can see a name on it. That's the biggest thing. Then they want to see the handles. That tells them a lot. The spout tells them a lot. If it's a drain, if the pop-up drain is not working, a lot of times, your main thing is what the finish is on things, if they have to bring a new one and stuff like that. The water heater, you look at it, show the man the brand name of the water heater and show him how it's installed, like the piping. And you give a guy that kind of information, then he comes in, he gets the work done. He doesn't come in and walk away and go to the supply house for 2 hours and come back and charge you for that.
So that's a big way to save money, is sharing that information. The picture is great. If you know the brand name of the equipment or something, the faucet, that will help.
Especially the faucets. You want a brand name on those faucets. And like the kitchen faucet, the shower valve. If it's a single handle shower valve or if it's a 2-handle or a 3-handle shower valve. Same thing with the lab faucet. Is it a single handle faucet or is it 2-handle faucet? Things like that.
So by knowing the brand name, they can bring the right part.
A lot of times they can bring the right part. You can look at it, a guy can look at it, or he'll get something close to it. Maybe he's got the parts on the truck. I tried to stock a lot of parts. I knew what my customers had. I carried the parts.
Step 4, we're going to call this one cost estimate. That kind of gets his blood boiling a little bit, but step 4 is about cost estimating.
If you call somebody to come and work on your faucet, they don't want to give you a bid. I mean, if you want a bid, then you're going to get a bid that's sky high because you left open the door.
They don't have time to give a bid.
Yeah, you don't have time. You're there to work on it. If you call the guy, figure on paying for it. You can ask him his hourly rate, You might say, a toilet can be repaired in an hour. Sometimes you pull a toilet, it's an hour and a half. Sometimes to fix a faucet can take over an hour. Depends on the last time it was repaired or how well you took care of it. That's a big issue in faucets. Now, a lot of times when you get into these thermostatic valves, shower valves, they can be some work, but if they have the proper tools, you can get things in and out much quicker on things like that.
And a big one too is don't sign a contract ahead of time.
No, you don't do it with contracts, okay? Some of the laws state that you have to sign some politician got stuck. That's why he wants to sign a contract. Don't. Why sign a contract? That's stupid as far as I'm concerned. Come in, if they trust you, get the job done.
Okay, so for step 4, don't request a cost estimate. You can request how much they charge per hour, and definitely don't sign any contracts. The idea is with this short work, it should take 1, 2, 3 hours. If you send them good information, you can reduce the amount of time they're there at the job site.
A flat rate is they came in, they figured it's going to take 3 hours to fix a faucet. They're going to charge you $350 for a part. No, all you want to do is pay cost of the parts and the labor is your best way to do it.
Okay, step 5 is now finally the plumber has showed up at your house. This is what you should expect. We got 3 parts to this one.
He shows up to your house. Usually a service plumber should be one guy, just one guy. Unless he's there to change the water, he possibly needs 2 guys. But usually you don't want to pay for 2 people to fix a faucet. Because the other guy's just standing there sucking air. So you just want one person to fix that faucet, and you might need 2 to change it, to replace the water, because you got to lift it. Sometimes if you don't have to lift it, they roll it in, hook it up, and away they go.
So if 2, 3 guys show up, that's a red flag for you.
Yeah, red flag. Yeah, you're not, because you might be paying for it. Some guys will love to charge because that guy, all those people are tagging along. But no, you don't want to pay for that.
When you would drag me to work sites, would you charge for my hours and just never give me the money? Or how did that usually work? I didn't know
Your
how that
mother
child
told me
labor
to
worked.
do that.
Second part.
If you're in the service work, you think like you should have parts on you, like toilet parts. That's a big thing. Is you're there to fix a toilet. If you've got a Kohler fix, you want to use Kohler parts. You don't need the fill valve so much on a Kohler part because the Fluid Master is the same as a Kohler fill valve on it. But they use their own flappers on. Everyone's different, so you want them. They're not that much more money. Like the faucets, some people have Grohe faucets. Some have Hans Grohe. There could be Jado, Harrington, all those names of faucets. Those are kind of a very high end. A very good American-made faucet or American-sold faucet is a Newport or Brass Tech, it's called, another name for it. Most of the time you see it as Newport. Those are very common stems, but all faucets need a different stem. You just don't take some stem from Joe Blow faucet and put it in this faucet. It needs that particular brand. That's the one you want to use.
Hence, step 2 is give that right information so they can bring the right part.
Yeah.
If they don't have that right part, if it doesn't jive with the type of brand faucet you have, that's a red flag.
It's a red flag, but they don't always have the parts. You got to give them some leeway on that too. Most of the time they try to carry things in because good plumbers don't like to run to a supply house and buy parts. Or they're going to tell you they might have to be ordered. So, it's something you're going to have to live with for a little bit.
Part 3 is quality of parts to install. Here's some generalized tips on what you can see about the quality of parts they're installing.
Nowadays, a big thing is insurance companies. They're into braided stainless supply lines. They like to see, instead of a plastic nut going to the toilet, they want to see a brass chrome plated nut. The braided, same thing with the wash machines. They want to use new, not just a garden hose type hookup that we used to have years ago. Now you can use braided stainless. They make some high pressured hoses. That you might as well change out. And they're not that much more money. But when it comes to an insurance thing, that insurance guy, he comes to your house and he's going to pick it apart that you didn't have it and stuff. So, you hopefully, when you tell them to change supply lines, make sure they're using good supplies, braided stainless.
Okay, 2 more steps. Step 6 is around invoicing or paying the plumber. Here are some tips.
Yeah, I always billed. It was just a thing that I billed the customer, and my philosophy, either pay me or else I never come back. But some people now, they use the Apple Pay and that stuff. But when they do bill, they usually know their prices right there and then, and they tell you the hourly rate and stuff on it.
In the parts.
And the parts and stuff. So you're going to pay a markup on the parts. It's like if you want a new faucet, we're going to change the subject here for a second. If you want to go and buy the faucet. But remember, if you buy something off the internet, you got to make sure they have parts for it. You know, that's what you need. Whatever you buy, you want to make sure, because everything has got to be fixed in this world, even you.
So for billing, they could bill you later and they'll put the labor, the hourly rate in there, or in the cost for parts. But some plumbers nowadays are billing you before they leave the house. And they can ask for credit card, Venmo, Apple Pay, something like that, so you can pay on site. Step 7 is, do you tip the service worker? Is that common nowadays? What's your experience with that?
I'll tell you what, I got some really nice tips. Ask my wife. Yeah, sometimes they tip. You know, I have anybody comes to my house usually to fix the cable TV. We always tip them. You know, if they did a good job, they were clean and everything, we give them a tip. But that's up to you. The owners of the companies, yeah, that's another thing. You don't usually tip them, but whatever. You know, that makes them feel good when you give them a tip.
But not required.
Not required. No, it's
just
not
a bonus.
required.
Yep, there you go.
You know, do you tip your doctor?
If you have a question about this video or any other plumbing topics, leave it in the comment section down below. He'll do his best to get back to you and answer the question.
And if you don't believe me, you know, ask that plumber if he watched the Grumpy Plumber videos.